Welcome into episode 16 of Women's Basketball Now, here on the Hoop Central YouTube channel. We thank you as always for taking the time to join us. This is Hamilton Elliott, your host, as always, bringing this episode to you. We are always excited to bring you these podcasts, breaking down women's college basketball. We've got some WNBA stuff going now here on the channel. All things women's basketball we're talking here. And that's why we're always so excited to bring these to you, bring all these new videos, these podcasts, whether it be prospect profiles, whether it be Women's Basketball Now, Around the W, which again is our new WNBA podcast. We have it here for you, so definitely keep it locked on Hoop Central, as through the course of this off-season, we are continuing to cover all the latest news and headlines. And here on this episode of Women's Basketball Now, we're talking about recruiting. We'll first go over Sahara Williams, 2023 wing, one of the stock-rising players in this class, now off the board, committed to a Big 12 program. We'll then go over and talk about one of the young stars out of the class of 2026, Katie Harpring at point guard. Just got a recent offer from Georgia Tech, also getting some big interest as well. Then we'll talk about her second. And then to wrap up the show, we'll talk about Ella Hobbs, 2024 forward, 6'3", top 20 player in the class according to espnW. We're going to go over some of her offers, some of her interests, and break down her game a little bit. And if you're not familiar with her, get you introduced to her game and what she brings to the table. But again, we're going to get things started by talking about Sahara Williams out of the class of 2023. If you follow women's basketball recruiting, and you follow all the top prospects in the nation, you have probably heard the name Sahara Williams by now. Even though she's not ranked in the class of 2023 according to espnW, it's very surprising because with her size of 5'11", playing the wing position, and just the recruitment that she's led, it's very surprising that she's not ranked right now. I definitely feel like she is a top 60, top 75 player in this class. And I think at some point could jump into the espnW rankings as we move closer to the final rankings, which come out next year before these players go into college fall of 2023. She has announced her commitment to the Oklahoma Sooners out of the Big 12, choosing them over Iowa, Iowa State, and USC, among other programs as well. UConn is a school that was showing some interest in her. Really back in the winter during the high school season, UConn appeared to pick things up with her. Chris Staley went to one of her high school games. She plays at Waterloo West High School in Iowa, by the way. So CD was at one of her games, and UConn was starting to show a little bit more interest because with Madison Booker, 5-star wing out of this class, one of the best players in the country, UConn is still in the mix, but it feels like maybe Mississippi State appears to be the favorite there. You know, Louisville's right there. Oregon, you got Texas. It doesn't feel like UConn's in the lead for Booker. So they've started to look at other recruits, including Chloe Kitts, and Sahara Williams is a player that they were targeting. But they never picked things up quite as much as the in-state schools, Iowa and Iowa State, and the Oklahoma Sooners. And she's going to be a really, really good fit for that program and what they do, because you've seen with Maddie Williams, just in that offensive system, how she's able to have free reign, move around, mid-range, three-point, play inside. Obviously, at the high school level, these players can go 1 through 5. They can play any position they want, play back to the basket, they can play on the perimeter. I see her being kind of that prototypical college wing. Slashing, getting inside, maybe hitting that mid-range jump shot, eventually improving her three-point percentage. Just running through her stats this past season for Waterloo West, very impressive. 19.7 points per game, 6.7 rebounds, and 4 assists. In her career, she already has 1,169 points going into her senior season, so she can clearly score the basketball. That is not a problem for her. And Oklahoma is a team that can really score it. Again, in that Big 12, you have a lot of high-octane offenses, and Oklahoma is one of those teams that really does a lot of what they do based on their wing personnel. So Sahara Williams is going to be a very good fit. I think going to play, again, a very similar style to that of what Maddie Williams has done there at Oklahoma, which Maddie Williams has been one of the most underrated players in the country over the last 3-4 years there at Oklahoma. And Sahara Williams, again, I think will kind of take the baton and play a very similar style. So again, to beat out USC, the in-state programs, UConn showing some interest. Big win for the Oklahoma Sooners, a school that we really don't talk about landing elite players. And again, in my opinion, Sahara Williams is one of those elite wings in the country. Even though there isn't a ranking beside her name right now, I feel like that will come in time, and I feel like she's going to be, again, a great fit for Oklahoma. And this is a recruitment that really started to kind of taper off as far as schools coming in with offers and things like that, because again, with 2023, a lot of players are starting to make decisions now. Players are starting to come off the board. And really, by this fall, you're going to see that start to happen even more, because a lot of players either go in the spring, like Sahara decided to do here, or they're going to make their decision when the November signing period opens up. So it's either going to be usually April, May, or November. Again, commitments can happen at any time, but you have the late signing period, which is mainly for uncommitted seniors. But again, you see it a lot after post-high school season, and again before the high school season, as the high school season is just starting. So again, Sahara Williams headed to Oklahoma. Now let's talk about 2026 point guard Katie Harpring. 2026 class, again, these players are still super young. We're not really seriously talking about these players yet as big recruiting targets for programs, but a lot of schools are coming in with early offers and a early level of interest. Just a low level of interest, nothing serious, just kind of starters level interest. And that's what we're going to talk about here with Katie Harpring. She's picking up some early interest from the UConn Huskies. She plays at Marist High School in Atlanta, Georgia, and just recently picked up her first offer from Georgia Tech. Again, Nell Fortner doing a great job with that program right now, continuing to build them up. They are definitely on the rise in the ACC. Had one of the best teams in the ACC this past season, and one of the best defenses in the entire country. That helped them get a win over UConn. Just did a lot of really good things, and it's taken a while for Georgia Tech to become the team that they are right now, but that's why you give a coach time and let them build their culture and set their foundation. And for a lot of recruits, especially young recruits, when they're getting their first offers and interest and things like that, it's going to be from in-state schools. So not surprised to see Georgia Tech coming in with an offer, but UConn has done quite a bit of inquiring with young players. Jenica Lewis out of the class of 2026, the number one player in the class according to many. Out of the 2027 class, you have Lauren Hassel and KJ Acree. UConn already showing a little bit of interest in those two as well. And again, it's nothing serious, but again, just getting a feel for the class, getting a feel for some of the top players. And when you look at Katie Harpring and what she brings to the table, she is a great jump shooter from the mid-range and from the three-point line. Her ability to just create space, find her spots is very impressive. Obviously, as a floor general, you have to pass the basketball well and thread the needle. She does that. Her passing skills, very consistent. I think they're only going to get better. She knows and has a great sense for where the defense is and where her teammates are. She finds the open player in the corner, in transition, as well as in the half-court offense. Distributing in transition is a very underrated but important trait for point guards. Not only to set up the offense in the half-court, but again, when your team's out on the run, if you're not scoring, find the player ahead on the break. That's very important. And on her mid-range jump shot, on her three-point jump shot, very quick release. Again, just a good feel for the game overall. I think is a very skilled point guard. And again, rankings aren't out for this 2026 class yet. But when they do, I think you're going to see Harpring up there in the upper echelon for sure. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Jenica Lewis is going to top those rankings. You know, Jenica Lewis has the most impressive list at this point of any 2026 recruit, really of any really young player out there, just with the offers that she has and the schools that are already interested, but not the only player getting big-time offers at this point in interest. Harpring is one of those players that I think over the course of this summer, again, as AAU ball plays out and all that stuff, and as we go into the high school season, she's going to be one of the more tracked recruits in this class. Again, still very young, still growing and developing, and that's why schools don't jump in right away. Why they don't jump in early, because the development is still coming along there, and players are still getting better. You know, if you're 14, 15, 16 years old, your game isn't exactly where you want it to be yet. But with time, I think we're going to see her gain more offers, more interest for sure. But again, UConn coming in just with some early interest, just seeing what she's about, getting introduced to her and vice versa. So really interested to see what happens with her recruitment, as same goes for all of the young recruits. Again, now the 2026 class, 2027, we're talking some about 2025 as well right now, but again, all of those players still growing, still developing, and getting better. Now we're going to wrap up by talking about a 2024 recruit gaining a ton of interest, getting a lot of big-time offers. That is Ella Hobbs, 6'3" forward, ranked 16th overall in the espnW Terrific 25 rankings out of J.M. Robinson High School in North Carolina. And this 2024 class in particular is really strong in the state of North Carolina, and I think Ella Hobbs right now is the best player out of the state. And that's a talent-rich region where J.M. Robinson High School is located around the Concord area. You see a lot of recruits come out of there. Men's basketball, women's basketball, that go on to play at high major schools. And a ton of the best programs in the country are on Ella Hobbs right now. South Carolina has offered, Mississippi State, North Carolina, Georgia Tech, Auburn, Kentucky. North Carolina State is showing some interest right now. Vanderbilt, Virginia Tech, those schools have also extended scholarship offers. And there are many more as well. That's just to name a few. But again, national champion South Carolina just came in recently. NC State is a school that I'm surprised hasn't offered her yet, but they are right there showing some interest. North Carolina, obviously they got a good program there. Bringing in talent, like Deja Kelly in 2020, Sierra Toomey in 2023. Obviously, here in 2024, they're trying to lock down another big class, Tioni Key, they brought in 2021 as well. So it's not about lack of talent there at North Carolina. They just haven't had their rosters gel as much as maybe you would like to see. They had good basketball teams, but not elite top 25 basketball teams yet. So I think that will come in time as they gain more talent and as more players come into that program. But with her being in state, she'll definitely be a priority. And UConn is a school that's been mentioned here as well, as showing some interest in Ella Hobbs. And when we watch film of her, the one thing that you notice is right now she is very inside oriented, as most 6'3" forwards would be. She just doesn't have that perimeter game yet. She doesn't have that mid-range jumper yet. She cuts well in the paint, again, creates space and position. She's strong and physical as a rebounder, very soft touch on the inside on her jump shot, and again, just has that ability to score inside effectively. And when I say jump shot, not mid-range, but just a little hook on the inside, a little two-hand shot there close to the basket, a couple feet away. She has that close to the rim ability right now, and I think she's got that down. But all forwards in this new age of basketball, whether you're playing power forward, whether you're playing center, even if you're playing wing, you have to have that ability to be versatile and kind of keep the defense honest. And if you're a forward, you're playing inside, they know you're coming inside. Just keep them honest with that little jump shot from the mid-range and try to extend that game out to the three-point line. We see a lot of players at those 4 and 5 spots especially be able to do that. So I think once she gets that down and continues to develop that, she's going to be really, really effective. Even more effective than she is now, because you can just throw it down into her right now and she can get you a double-double just with her inside game alone. But if she continues to develop and find that, I think you're going to see even more schools jump in with offers and interest. I think you're just going to see her game grow exponentially, and she's going to be that much harder to stop because she's already a tough cover. Again, already top 20 player in the class. I think she is the caliber of a top 10 player if she can get the rest of her offensive arsenal going. And obviously defensively, great activity, runs the floor consistently. Again, with the 4s and the 5s, you want to see them running the floor consistently, keeping up with the wings and the guards, getting down there, off of rebounds, off of made shots, creating position. She does all of that extremely well, and again is one of the best players here in the class of 2024. So definitely continue to keep your eye on her. We talked about Sahara Williams at the top, going to the University of Oklahoma out of the 2023 class. We talked about Katie Harpring from the 2026 class, picking up some UConn interest, just got a Georgia Tech offer as well. And that's all the time we have on this episode of Women's Basketball Now. We thank you again for taking the time to watch. We'll have plenty more episodes coming up soon where we're going to be talking about the transfer portal. We'll talk some about the WBCA All-American team. We'll talk about that on one of our other upcoming episodes. So stay tuned for all of that stuff. A lot of USA basketball stuff happening as well. So we will not have a shortage at all of things to talk about here on the Women's Basketball Now podcast. Thank you for watching this one. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching, guys.